Hey, so I was asked by a friend to do a video about transgressive fiction because I recommended transgressive fiction. So I thought I'd do a little beginner's guide or some cool things to read if you want to get into transgressive fiction, because I am the utmost authority. I'm not the utmost authority. Okay, so you gotta start with the basics, okay? You gotta start with Story of the Eye by Georges Bataille. This book fucking sucks, but you have to start with it because it's like the first big transgressive novel. It sucks. It's kind of funny, but I realized that I was laughing when I don't think it was meant to be funny, and therefore it's more like a so bad it's good type thing. It's so ridiculous it's funny, but otherwise it's just kind of nonsensical, to be honest. Like, it's just a guy talking about how he likes, people wetting themselves. I can't remember. It's not very good. It's like 70 pages though, so it's quite funny to start with if you want
to go for the start of transgressive fiction. This is like the OG from the early 1900s, which was called transgressive fiction. It was like one of the very first ones to have that term be coined about it.
However, the absolute granddaddy of them all... Wait, no. However, the first major transgressive fiction, that's the Naked Lunch by William S. Burroughs. It's not about nude dinners, but it is about heroin. It's a bunch of vignettes about things related to heroin. Sort of. It was all written on heroin, and it's depraved and weird and very gross about things, and there's crime and such. It's hard to explain, but if you've ever read Naked Lunch, it's kind of similar to that because it is Naked Lunch. Chronologically speaking, this comes next, Less Than Zero. Bret Easton Ellis, the greatest writer, who isn't Roberto Bolaño. This guy got me back into reading after I didn't read anymore, really. And I've also written a screenplay for this, because there's a movie, but it's not a very accurate movie. And this is a really cool one. It takes place over Christmas, so it's coming up. It's a good time to read this. It's about a college student who returns home to LA and witnesses the decadence that all his friends are involved in. And I don't think I've ever felt more disturbed by a novel in my life as I did this. This novel is like really, really weird and messed up and disturbing and weird and messed up and disturbing. I really like all the references to like 80s culture in this though, and all the references to like new wave and punk rock and stuff. It is really, really good. This is the best book I've got here. This is the best one. It's just a classic. It's such a classic. It's next up, I believe, is Dennis Cooper's Frisk, which is just a strange, in the best possible way. It's a very messed up story. I haven't read this one. I read this one about 3 years ago. I haven't read it in a while, so I can't really remember exactly what it's about. But I remember it's about a guy who becomes obsessed with like snuff films or fake snuff films. So then he starts killing people and taking photos of them, killing people and taking photos of them, killing people and taking photos of them. I think it's really messed up, but like it's really cool. But also I think it's kind of rare. I've never seen a version that doesn't have this cover. It's a really cool one. And that brings me to the big question of what is transgressive. Transgressive is when it pushes the boundaries of the understood what is accessible in reading and makes things weirder. And usually it's very disturbing, but I think it's very good. And I think a lot of people who who are interested in seeing things from a more outside perspective will like transgressive fiction. This is probably the most famous transgressive one. This is, Trainspotting, if I'm Welsh. It's written mostly in Scots dialect. It's very, very fun, but also dark. I'd say it's sort of transgressive. It's not really as, disturbingly bleak as some of these other ones. It has a lot of moments of levity and is more realist and humanist than a lot of Transgressive is, but I just think it deserves a mention because it's so good, and there are some scenes which just, ooh, this is really good. And if you've seen the movie and you think you know, you do not know Trainspotting until you read the book as well. Finally, I have to reference the king of transgressive fiction, Chuck Palahniuk. I said that really weird. I don't know if it's Palahniuk or Palahniuk, but it's really cool and stuff. And Chuck Palahniuk is really, he likes writing about strange things. He wrote Fight Club, but that's probably his least transgressive. This is transgressive. It's about a model who is in an accident and then she's disfigured, and then she kills people. Yeah, she kills people along with a transgender model, I think. Once again, I haven't read this one in a very long time, but this is my favorite of Chuck Palahniuk's work, and I think if you like weird, kind of gay, queer, out there stuff, because, there's a big intersection between queer writers and transgressive fiction. It's a big intersection, and this is one of the best ones I've read on that. So I always recommend this for people who want cool, badass queer stories as well. But that should be the transgressive fiction I've discussed in this one. I must go. I have a homunculus that needs attending to.